Good evening. How is it going today? Good evening from Tokyo. It is Thursday night here in Tokyo. It's about 10, just past 10:15. I started a couple of minutes late. My computer was rebooting. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. It's good evening to you, or good morning, or good afternoon, whatever time it is where you are at. I hope you're having a great day, or hope you had a great day. As always, I'm Shelly, and thanks for joining me today. We will be doing a lesson on whereas today. As you can see from the title of today's lesson, we will be using the word whereas today. So I'm just going to wait a little bit of time, like I usually do at the beginning of the lesson, while people can quickly join the lesson. So while we are waiting, I'm going to actually put the lesson onto the screen right now. And what we can do at the very beginning of the lesson is we've got some slang words here. We've got two words, dough and fed up. Let's just look at the very first word only today, the first slang word. We're going to look at this one right here, dough. Dough. And it says, I don't have enough dough to buy a new computer. I don't have enough dough to buy a new computer. So right here, the word dough is used to have, it means something different. Generally, if we were talking about dough would mean it's a mixture of water and flour. We use it to make bread. We use it to make pizza. So we can say pizza dough, bread dough. But in this sentence, it doesn't mean that. It's not food. It's not food. In this sentence here, dough equals money. Money. So I'm going to put that onto the screen here for you guys to see. All right. And while we're doing that, I'm just going to put another little comment on my community site, just so people know that we are live now. Okay. Okay, so yeah, dough equals money. Now, dough will have, money. There are many slang words for money. Now, whenever you're using this word money, in English, we have a lot of slang words that we use that mean money. Now, another one that is very commonly used is going to be maybe some cheddar. That's another word, another slang word that means money. All right, so we're going to get started. We only got a few people in here, but I want to get started so that everybody who is here right now gets a chance to speak some English and learn how to use whereas. Now, in today's lesson, we are going to focus on comparing two ideas, comparing two thoughts. Now, we've done comparisons before. We've done it in the live lessons. I've made videos regarding comparisons as well. So we're not going to be doing the traditional way to compare. Now, if we're going to compare, traditionally, we would say things like more or add an ER to the adjective. So, for example, winter is colder than summer. If we compare nouns, we can say, I have more shoes than my friend. That's not what we're going to do today. We're going to use a little bit more advanced way to compare. And we are going to use the word whereas. Whereas. All right, so Today's lesson is not going to be that long of a lesson. I want to make it a quick, short lesson today for everyone. If you're watching on the replay, that is great. Welcome to the lesson. It's going to be a great lesson on whereas. Thank you for joining. If you're watching on the replay and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you do that. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I am doing my next live. This week, my next live will be on Saturday morning. So if you couldn't join today, you're watching on the replay, try to join on Saturday or Sunday in the morning. All right, so today we are going to be working on using whereas. So let's look at how we make the sentence. How do we make the sentence? We're going to look right at the middle part right here. How to make the sentence. So in order to make this sentence, we're going to have two different ideas. And when we present the idea, we must use a complete sentence. So that means a subject, a verb, probably an object. So we have completely two different sentences. We are going to join them using whereas. So whereas will join the two sentences. Now, it is possible, if you can look at the screen, you can see, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. You can see that I've got whereas, I've put it into the middle of the sentence. But it is possible to put whereas at the beginning of the sentence. But I think it is more common to put whereas in the middle. So that's what we will focus on today. We're going to focus on putting whereas at the middle. And we have two ideas. So whereas is going to separate the two ideas. So if we look at an example sentence, the example sentence says, the Giants are a very strong team. The Giants are a very strong team. The other sentence I have, the Rockets are a weak team. All right, so we've got two completely different thoughts, two different ideas. And we want to compare the teams. So to make this sentence, I will just separate it using whereas. So if we look at the bottom sentence, it says the Giants are a strong team, whereas the Rockets are a weak team. All right, so one more time, the Giants are a strong team, whereas the Rockets are a weak team. Now, it's possible to make a sentence using an adjective. I'm sure you've all learned sentences like this. The Giants are stronger than the Rockets. We've made sentences like this before, but today we're not going to be focusing on this. We're going to be focusing on completing two different sentences. Now, when we use whereas, we don't always have to have both sentences having the same format or the same verb tenses. So we can compare complete thoughts with whereas. So it's a little bit more useful. Okay. So for example, another one here, we got yesterday was so cold. Today is quite nice. Yesterday was so cold. Today is quite nice. So yesterday was so cold. And I've actually put while here. It's a little mistake here. We're going to change that to whereas. Whereas today is quite nice. Now, while is also possible. It has the same meaning as whereas. But today we're going to focus just on whereas. So yesterday was cold, whereas today is quite nice. All right. So again, here we've got an adjective. So we could say, yesterday was colder than today. That's possible. But as you see, when we use whereas, we have more flexibility. We can add, a longer sentence. We don't only use adjectives. All right. So just stay with me and you'll see how we use whereas. All right. XYZ, hello. How are you doing today? Good to have you here today with me. We're going to be doing a quick lesson today. And we're using whereas. I think you've been watching. So just stick with me. We're going to be using whereas, and we're going to jump right into it right now. So we're not going to be using while. On the other hand, we're only going to use whereas today. So in the first warm-up exercise, I will be giving you two ideas, two sentences. It is your goal to join them using whereas. The warm-up exercise, there's only five exercises here, so it's going to be quite quick, and it's not difficult. Just put whereas in the middle of the two sentences. So number one says, I always like to spend a lot of money. My wife is always very careful with money. Now, if I wanted to join these sentences, all I do is put whereas in between the two sentences. That's all I have to do is I put whereas in there. Now, if you're writing a test, if you're doing a punctuation, a grammar test, make sure that this period, we're going to have a comma in there. We're going to put a comma. So I always like to spend a lot of money, comma, whereas my wife is always very, very careful with money. Okay, so don't forget the comma. The comma goes before whereas. All right, so here we have number two, same thing. People in the countryside are usually friendly. People in the city are a bit cold. Okay, here, cold doesn't mean, temperature. It means their personality. It means they're not very friendly. They're not warm people. They're a little bit cold. So again, all we have to do to join these two sentences is we're going to be putting them in between. So I will put whereas in between the two sentences. People in the countryside are usually friendly, whereas people in the city are a bit cold. All right. Everybody, so far, so good. Does everybody follow along? Yeah, no problem. Good evening, Mira. How are you today? How are you doing today? I hope you're having a good day so far, Mira. Good to see you here today. XYZ, everything is good for you. That is good. Okay, so let's just continue. This is just trying to understand how to use whereas. So we're just putting it between two sentences. Now, one of the big mistakes with whereas is people sometimes will put two ideas that have no relationship together. Right? So you can't do that. Both ideas, both sentences must be related to each other. Okay, does that make sense? And I'll give you an example, but first, Mira, doing great. Good to join your live lesson. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I remember from last time. So I'm really happy you've joined. I think it's a better time for you today. Last time it was really early in the morning. Today it's probably what, 8:30 where you are, I think. I think something like that, maybe. So I'm glad you are joining me. Teresa, good evening. Good evening. How are you today? Hope you're having a great day. All right. So as I was saying, sometimes people use whereas, and one of the biggest mistakes is that the two sentences are not related. You know, for example, I'm going to put it at the bottom here just so everybody can see it. So, you know, some people might say the restaurant was very delicious, whereas it was cheap too. All right. This sentence is incorrect. The restaurant was very delicious, and I forgot to put the comma here. So not just pronunciation. There we go. Sorry, not just grammar, but the idea is wrong, because delicious is it's a good thing. You want your food to be good. So this is a positive sentence. It was cheap. That's also a positive sentence. Nobody wants to spend a lot of money, right? So it's delicious, it's cheap. So in this situation, we cannot use whereas. Whereas, whenever you are using whereas, it's important that the two sentences are contrasting each other. So they are the opposite of each other. So there has to be a contrast. So we want the sentence to be positive sentence and then a negative sentence. Okay, or negative sentence and then a positive sentence. Okay, it's really important that we use whereas in this type of situation. There has to be a contrast. They're not the same. Second, it's also important that both sentences are related, like I said. So here's another example. My brother went to Harvard University, whereas I am a doctor. Okay. This sentence is incorrect because my brother went to university. So that's talking about university. I am a doctor. I'm talking about my job. These two things are not the same topic. We're talking about completely different things. So we cannot use whereas. So this situation, this sentence is also incorrect. We cannot make sentences like this. Both ideas have to be related. They have to be talking about the same topic. Okay. So if we look, countryside, people in the countryside, people in the city, we're talking about people. So they are related. Number three, it says the apartment is conveniently located. There is a lot of traffic in the neighborhood. All right, so we've got a positive sentence. It's very convenient. It's very convenient. There's a lot of traffic. It's inconvenient. It's not good. It's a negative statement. So we can join these by using whereas, because there is a contrast. Below, there's no contrast. Right? So these sentences were incorrect. Okay, so please be careful about that. So yes, Mira, yeah, it's incorrect because there's no contrast. Exactly. Perfect, Mira. So number 3, again, we would just put the word whereas in the middle. Okay, the apartment is conveniently located, whereas there's a lot of traffic in the neighborhood. All right, number 4, again, we are showing contrast. The first sleeping pill my doctor gave me makes me nauseous. This one doesn't. First, what does nauseous mean? Does anybody know what that means? Nauseous. Nauseous is a great word. Nauseous basically, it means that you feel a little sick, that you feel like you may vomit, that you may throw up. Okay, so you feel like you may vomit. That's what nauseous means. You feel like you may vomit. So the first sleeping pill the doctor gave me makes me nauseous. So I feel like I'm going to throw up. But this one doesn't. All right, Mary. Yes, perfect. Not feeling well. Perfect. Exactly. Nauseous means you're not feeling well. So again, 2 sentences are opposite. They're contrasting each other. So we join them with whereas. And last one, again, this is not a difficult exercise because all we're doing is putting whereas in the middle. So I usually order a seafood dish when I go to restaurants. My husband always gets a steak. We put whereas in the middle. So I usually order a seafood dish when I go to restaurants, whereas my husband always gets a steak. All right, so very important that both ideas are contrasting. All right, perfect, Mira. Nice. Okay, so now let's make it your turn now to make some sentences. Let's make some sentences, and we're going to start off easy, and then we're going to go difficult. Okay, we're going to start off easy, and then we're going to go a little bit difficult. We're going to start right in the middle here. Let's start with number 4. We'll start with number 4. So I'm just going to give you 2 ideas, 2 concepts. First one, it says buying a new bag. Second idea is using my old bag. Buying a new bag versus using my old bag. Okay, so we need to have 2 sentences, and when they need to contrast with each other. All right, so what do you guys think? What can we say here for this sentence? And we're going to make this a little bit more difficult. The first exercise, we just put whereas in the middle. This one, we're going to make it a little bit more difficult. First, number 4, we'll try just a simple whereas sentence. And I'm going to put my answer here as well so everybody can see. I will save money. I use my old bag. Whereas I will be happier if I buy a new bag. All right, so my sentence here, I will save money if I use my old bag, whereas I'll be happier if I buy a new bag. So this is the type of sentence we're going to be making. But what I want to do is I want to make this a little bit more difficult. And I want to add one more grammar type to this sentence. So I'm going to go back up to the examples. And I want you to look at number 1. Number 1's situation says going to a resort versus going to a city. I'm going to compare this, but I'm also going to use a conditional sentence. So conditional sentence means I'll use the if sentence. So my answer here is if you go to a resort, you can relax. Whereas if you go to a city, you can do lots of shopping. Okay, so one more time. If you go to a resort, you can relax. Whereas if you go to a city, you can do lots of shopping. Okay, let's look at another example. Number 2. Going on vacation in winter versus, and I've got this strange vocabulary word here, Obon period. Obon period is summer holiday. It's summer holiday in Japan. Okay, so it's the summer period. And my sentence was, if you go on vacation in winter, you'll be able to save money. Whereas if you go on vacation during Obon, it will be very expensive. So you have 2 choices. If you want to make an if sentence, you can make an if sentence. If you don't want to, just you want to compare 2 sentences, 2 ideas, that's also okay. So for example, number 4, if I use my old bag, I will save money. Whereas if I buy a new bag, I will be happier. So let's try number 5. Number 5, I want everybody to try. Put your answers in the comment section. Number 5 says it is 12 a.m. and you have 2 choices, watch a movie or go to bed. And I can help everybody here. If you want to make an if sentence, right, you can say, if I watch a movie, whereas if I go to bed, right, so you can complete this sentence. And I'll give everybody a few minutes to put their answer. And if nobody answers, then I'll put mine on the screen. Anybody who's watching this on the replay, if you want to put your answers, if you want me to check your answers, leave it in the comments section. So it's midnight. You have 2 choices, watching a movie or going to bed. So what would your answer be here? And you can just use my sentence I've put on the screen. And you can just finish the ending of both sides. So if I watch a movie, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if I go to bed, blah, blah, blah. All right, so I'm going to put my answer here. I'm going to get rid of these little dots and complete the sentences. If I watch a movie, I may enjoy myself. Whereas if I go to bed, I will definitely be rested tomorrow. I will definitely be rested tomorrow. So if I watch a movie, I may enjoy myself. I may enjoy myself. Whereas if I go to bed, I'll definitely be rested tomorrow. So in this one here, I think that definitely going to bed is the better. It's the positive statement. Okay. Now let's look at number 6. But before we do that, Mira has an answer here. If I watch a movie, it will make me feel happy. Whereas if I go to bed, I can miss a lot of opportunities. A lot of opportunities. So again, one more time, Mira. If I watch a movie, it will make me feel happy. Whereas if I go to bed, I can miss a lot of opportunities. Make sure it's IES there. I'm going to put it in the comment section for you, Mira, so you can look at it. Okay, there you go. It's in the comment section for you to look at as well. So if I watch a movie, it will make me feel happy. Whereas if I go to bed, I can miss a lot of. So you're control. And for you, watching the movie, positive thing. Excellent. Number 6, spending your bonus or saving your bonus. So, if you're working and your company gives you a bonus, that means they're giving you extra money. It's usually like 1 month's salary they give you as a bonus. So you have 2 choices, spend it or save it. Now you have 2 types of sentences you can make. You can make it just a regular sentence using whereas, or you can use a conditional sentence. That means if sentence and whereas. All right, and then just leave your answers in the comment section, just like Mira has done here. And I'll give my answer as well. And I'll make a conditional sentence. So I'll say, if I save my bonus, I will have a safety net. Whereas if I spend my bonus, I will I'll be happier now. I'll be happier now. If I save my bonus, I'll have a safety net. Whereas if I spend my bonus, I'll be happier now. All right, so we were showing a contrast here. I'll have a safety net. That means I'm secure, but probably not happy. But if I spend my bonus, I'll be happier right now, but maybe not in the future. All right. And if you have an answer, you can just put it in the comment section. And if you want to move on to number 7 as well, anybody who wants to move on to number 7, please feel free to do that. And you can put your answer for number 7, or if you have an answer for number 5, I will go back as well. Now, I don't have to make an if sentence using, spending my bonus or saving my bonus. So, I could say without an if sentence, I could say saving my bonus is the responsible thing to do, whereas spending it is risky. So here, there's no if. I've just made a sentence comparing the two ideas. So let's try number 7. And don't worry if you're still writing for number 5 or number 6 and you want to share your answer, please do that. I will go back for you. And I'll actually make number 5 a little lower so you can see it. All right, but number 7, using a taxi or walking home. Using a taxi versus walking home. What are your answers for this? Using a taxi or walking home. What do you guys usually do? If you guys are, if you have to go home and you have 2 options, you can take a cab, you can take a taxi, or you can walk. Usually, what do you guys do? Do you take a taxi? Do you walk? Now, if those are your only 2 options, what do you usually do? For me, these days, I'd probably walk home. When I first came to this country, I would often take a taxi. All right, so I'm going to put my answer here. My answer for this one here, using a taxi versus walking home. Walking home is much better for my health and wallet, whereas using a taxi saves me so much time. Walking home is much better for my health and wallet, whereas using a taxi saves me so much time. All right, so Mira, you have an answer here. It's better to go home using a taxi, whereas it will take time to go home by walking home. Good. I would actually say here, Mira, it's faster to go home using a taxi. It's faster to go home using a taxi, whereas it will take time to go home by walking. And then I don't need to put a home at the end. So it's better, or it's faster to go home using a taxi, whereas it will take time to go home by walking. Perfect. Good. Just get rid of the home. Add an a. It's better. It's faster. Don't forget to say it's faster. Okay. Excellent. Good job, Mira. All right. Let's keep moving. Let's look at number 8. Number 8. Cut my hair short. Keep growing it long. Cut my hair short or keep growing it long. All right, what do you guys think about this? Cut your hair short or keep growing it long? And if you want, again, you could use an if sentence, but you don't need to. You could just make a regular sentence joining the two ideas using whereas. Now, you could say things like, cutting my hair short will save me time in the shower. Whereas, growing it long means I can donate it someday. All right, so I've got cutting my hair short will save me time in the shower, whereas growing it long means I can donate it someday. Donate means that you're going to be giving the hair, you're going to cut it and give the hair to people who need it. All right, and if you have another answer, a different answer, that's fine. Just leave it in the comments section. Let's leave it in the comments section. All right. For number 9, I don't want you to make an if sentence. I want just a simple plain sentence using whereas to join two ideas. You are very welcome, Mira. You are very, very welcome. All right, so number 9, no if sentence, just make a regular sentence comparing. Now, we're talking about a holiday. We're talking about a holiday, and we have two choices, a resort or a city. So resorts or cities. Now, for example, if I'm not going to make an if sentence, so resorts are very relaxing, whereas cities are noisy. All right, here's a simple sentence. Resorts are very relaxing, whereas cities are noisy. All right, and if anybody has a different answer about resorts and cities, and we're talking about holidays, just leave it in the comment section. All right, so let's go back to number 8, Mira. My mom wants to cut my hair short, whereas my brother wants to keep growing it long. No S. It long. Okay. So almost perfect here. So maybe what you want to say, Mira, is my mom wants, don't forget the S. My mom wants to cut my hair short, whereas my brother wants me to keep growing it long. So the cutting the hair or growing it must be the same person, you. Or you can talk both about your brother. My mom wants to cut my brother's hair short, whereas my brother wants to keep growing it long. Okay, so one more time. My mother wants to cut my brother's hair short, whereas my brother wants to keep growing it long. And I'll put that in the comments section. So my mom wants to cut okay. So you would want to say that. My mom wants to cut my brother's hair short, whereas my brother wants to keep growing it long. Perfect. All right, and I've got my answer for number 9 as well. Resorts are very relaxing, whereas cities are noisy. Mira, you've got taking a resort is better for a family to enjoy, whereas going to a city with a family will be hectic. Perfect. Your ideas are perfect. So we just need to add a couple of words. So not taking a resort, I would say going to a resort or using a resort. All right, so let's use going. Going to a resort is better for a family to enjoy. Whereas going to a city with a family will be hectic. Okay, so going to a resort is better for a family to enjoy, whereas going to a city with a family will be hectic. That is very true. That's very, very true, Meryl. Okay, excellent. All right, we've got how many more? We've only got 3 more. 3 more. And I will actually do number 12 for homework. So we'll only have 2 more. We'll only have 2 more. And number 10, we are going to be focusing on weather in the summer. Weather in summer. And I want you to compare Australia and Finland. Australia and Finland. And you can talk about anything, but we're going to be talking about Australia versus Finland. And we're talking about summer weather. And again, you can go very, very simple. You know, my simple sentence would be, you can go surfing in summer in Australia, whereas in Finland, you can't. Which I have no idea. I don't know if you can't go surfing in Finland in summer. I've never been to Finland. I do know they have beaches, but I have no idea if you can surf. Maybe you can. But in my image that, you know, Australia is a huge surfing country. So you can go surfing in summer in Australia, whereas in Finland, you can't. And there's so many sentences. Australia is very hot in summer, whereas Finland is very comfortable. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the screen up. If you can't see number 10 and 11, please let me know. It's going to be on 2 separate pages, but I think you should be able to see 10 and then 11. Now, number 11 says you're going to be talking about personality. And you're going to compare yourself, you, versus anybody. It could be your husband, your wife, your friend, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your teacher, anybody. And Mira, you are very welcome. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. All right, so we're going to have personality. Let's compare personality. And you can do anything. You know, for me, let's compare myself and my sister. I am very outgoing, whereas one of my sisters is quite shy. I'm very outgoing, whereas one of my sisters is quite shy. Okay, and it can be anything. We're going to be talking about personality. Okay, and if you have an answer, leave it in the comment section. If you want to leave it after the lesson is done, you can do that as well. Anybody who's watching on the replay, you can leave all your answers in the comment section. And number 12 will be your homework. Number 12 is your homework. Number 12, we're talking about hobby. And you must compare your hobby and somebody else's. The other person can be your husband, your wife, again, your friend, your brother, sister, mother, father, anybody, a teacher, coworker. And you're going to be using hobby. And make sure you join the 2 sentences using whereas. Number 11, my sentence for personality was I'm very outgoing, whereas one of my sisters is quite shy. Another one, my sisters are vegetarian, whereas I am not. Okay, this is not really personality, but here we're comparing. Maybe that's a little bit about their personality. Okay, so number 12, I want you to do for homework. Hobby. I'll give you my example sentence for hobby. It can be anything, and I'm going to compare it. Let's compare it. Yeah, let's compare it with my sister again. Now, I love watching and playing all sports, whereas my oldest sister can't stand sports. All right. I love watching and playing all sports, whereas my oldest sister can't stand sports. My oldest sister hates sports. So we're very different. We're opposite. This could also be about hobby. This could be about personality, I guess, as well. Okay, so remember, everybody, number 12 is for homework. Today, whereas, we are using whereas to join two sentences together, but we're showing some type of contrast. Right? That means basically the two ideas are either positive and negative towards each other. Make sure that your sentences show contrast. Otherwise, we cannot use whereas. All right. So today, like I said, it was not going to be that long of a lesson. I wanted to go through this just the one word. So if you have any questions about whereas, please let me know now. Or if you have any questions about any other English topic, any other English grammar or vocabulary, you can ask me now. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will do my best to answer your questions the best that I can. And if you don't have any questions, that's fine. If you think of a question later, you can always just put it in the comment section of any of my live lessons or videos, and I will answer your questions. All right. So, Mira, how do I use O? As I have a lot of confusion while reading newspapers, I generally get to verb O in sentence. Okay. So, in this one, it means that you must. It's kind of like give. I must give something to someone, right? So usually what O is going to mean, and I'm going to put it into, I'll make a banner of this. One second while I make it. All right. So O basically means you have to pay or repay. Pay, repay, or return something to someone that you received. Okay, so I'm going to put it in this comment section. You have to pay, repay, or return something to someone that you received. Now, for example, Mira, let's say that you and I, we go out to go have a coffee. We go to a coffee shop, and I realize, I forgot my wallet at home. So I ask you, Mira, can you please, buy the coffee for me? Can you please lend me like $5, maybe $10? And so I get the money. I get $5 from you. Now I must pay you back. I must repay you. So in this situation, I would say I owe you $5. Okay, so I would say that sentence. I owe you $5. All right, so it just means you have to pay someone back or return something. Now, it doesn't have to be money as well. It doesn't have to be money. For example, if you do me a favor, then I should return the favor. I should do a favor for you. So I owe you. I would say I owe you. Does that make sense for that one? And you have another question here. After verb love, another verb like go, how do we use it? And then you gave me an example, love going or love to go. Which one is correct? They're both correct. Words like love and like, they can be followed by the infinitive or by a gerund. All right, so I'm going to put that as a banner here as well. So love, and then I'm going to put like as well, so it's very similar. We can use basically a gerund, which is ing verb. Okay, so that is possible. This is correct. Now, the other thing we could do is not a gerund. We'd put an infinitive, which is going to be to plus verb. All right, so that is the other option. There's two options: love like plus infinitive, which is to plus verb, or you could also be using that gerund, love like gerund. So to answer your question, Mira, they're both correct. They're both correct. And love, like, hate, it all has the same grammar pattern. You can use a gerund or you can use an infinitive. Both are fine. Good question, Mira. Good question. All right. Any other questions? And again, remember, like I said, if you remember a question or if you realize something later, you can post the question in any one of the videos, not only this live lesson, but any of the videos that I have. And I will be posting a video on whereas. I'm hoping to get that done this week or this weekend. So if you want further practice, I will be making a video on whereas, and I will put that into the notifications as well when I post that video. All right. Any other English questions? Something about grammar, vocabulary, something that's confusing you? If you have any questions, now is your chance. Fire away. So I think we got here another question. Mira, how do I recognize when to use ing or to? There's a few things you can do. Now, if we're using a gerund, a lot of times we're using it to make a noun. We're using it to make a noun, while infinitive is used for making a subject. It's used for making an adverb or an adjective. Now, a lot of times, if you have a preposition, so if you've got a phrase and it ends in a preposition, then we can use a gerund with that. Okay, so I'm going to put that. So let me just make a banner here. So we've got gerund. So gerund is just a fancy meaning for ing. Okay, So a gerund is always going to be after a preposition. All right, so after a preposition. Okay, and I'll give you an example for that. Okay, so here's an example sentence, Mira. I am interested in snowboarding. So I am interested in. In is a preposition. So after the preposition, we would use ing. ing. There's other things as well. There are certain verbs that you have to remember. And that is just you have to remember. Now, here is, I'm just going to give you a small little list here. Now, let's just put this into the comments section. All of these verbs, oh, I need spaces, sorry. One second, Mira. I'm going to give you a list of verbs that after these verbs, we will use a gerund. This isn't like there's so many more verbs. So you just have to remember these verbs. So admit, advise, allow, anticipate, appreciate, avoid, be worth, can't help, celebrate. All of these are followed by ing. All of these are followed by an ing. All right. So I think you had another question. How to connect if you're not live? Make a session on verb. I will do sure, Mira. I can make a lesson on have. I think I've already done it once, maybe, but I'll do it again. Mira, I've got a lot of videos that you can check out. But if you go to my YouTube channel, Mira, if you go to the about part, if you go to the about part, you'll see my email address there. So you can email me any questions that you have, and I will get back to you. I will be doing another couple of lives on Saturday and Sunday, but I know that's very early in the morning, so it's tough for some people because of the time difference. But Saturday, Sunday, again, every Thursday I do a live. And then, yeah, if anybody wants to ask me a question directly, you want to email me directly, you can find my email address on my YouTube channel. Just go to the about part, and there will be my email address is written there, and that email comes directly to me, so you can email me there. Any other questions? And again, remember, anybody who's watching on the replay, number 12 is your homework. Make 2 ideas, 2 sentences about hobby, to your hobby versus somebody else's. And the other person can be anybody, your husband, wife, friend, family, any family member, coworker, anybody you want. All right. If there are no more questions, then let's call that a night. Let's wrap it up. And remember, if you do think of a question, you can find my email address on my channel. Just send me an email, or you can just reply in any of the videos. If you make a comment in any of my videos or lives, I always check, I always respond. So you can ask any question in any one of those videos as well. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys liked today's lesson. And I will be having a video on this coming out very, very soon. And make sure you come see me on Saturday and Sunday for another live lesson, Saturday morning and Sunday morning. All right, guys. Thank you for joining, and I will see you guys all in the next lesson. See ya.